Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hey guys, we're your hosts, M and J, and today we're talking about Thundercats Roar, which recently premiered. The show was announced way back in 2018. They had an announcement trailer that was pretty universally panned, and then Cartoon Network almost went silent on the project, only showing tidbits of it in some of its other promotional trailers, but it missed its 2019 air date, and then they just dropped the premiere on the Cartoon Network app without any build-up. We totally missed it. If it hadn't been for Twitter, we probably wouldn't have known to begin with. They finally announced that it's coming to the network in February after they quietly released it online, and still without much fanfare. This all makes it feel like they're not very confident in the project, and after watching the first 2 episodes, I can see why. This show's animation and art direction is shockingly bad. Right now is just not a good time to be a cat person. Weirdly enough, the cat designs for the 2019 Cats movie looked more cat-like than these do. The Thundercats have cats in their name, but they don't look anything like cats. They hardly have any cat-like features. Sure, they have pointy ears and sharp teeth, but that's true of a lot of fantasy creatures. Their character designs are very rounded, and they have these blue lines on them that ends up making them look very shiny. I guess they were meant to be highlights, but it just makes it look like they're made out of rubber, and they look like they should squeak when they walk. Plus, the animation has them squish and stretch so much that it really adds to the rubber effect. I'm not completely convinced that they have exact character designs because their proportions change so wildly and so frequently. Do they even have model sheets? I understand the logic behind having round, squishy art styles is that it's supposed to be easier to animate for the animators, because animation is a difficult process, and I don't want to make their lives harder than they have to be, but I'm not convinced this round, squishy art style actually is better for animation, because the designs change basically frame by frame. It's ridiculous. It makes for a really uncomfortable viewing experience because the animation is so distracting. I was never convinced that these characters are solid cat people. I felt like they were squishy rubber people, which I'm not convinced was their intention. I'm honestly really tired of these big animation studios putting out products that look so amateur and expecting people to not have a problem with it. A lot of people are saying that it reminds them of early Newgrounds animations, but the thing is, those were made by independent animators. These are big studios with big teams, and they should have a budget and way more resources than Newgrounds animators. The show focuses on comedy first and foremost. Unfortunately, it's very juvenile and cringy comedy, and the comedy doesn't work well for a number of reasons. It's repetitive and lacks good comedic timing. They're basically trying to satirize the original show, and some people are seeing it as an abridged series. The plotline loosely follows the original Exodus from Thundera. In fact, it's also called Exodus, but I highly doubt the target audience for this show has actually seen the original Exodus. Not to mention, they don't give any context for anything, so we're basically supposed to find this funny just because. Like this peaceful planet just sitting there minding its own business and all of a sudden it blows up. Oh well, isn't that hilarious? Why should we care about this planet blowing up? Why should we find it funny or sad? We don't know Thundera, unless you're familiar with the original show, but they didn't do anything to introduce it to new fans or recontextualize it for old fans. Instead, it was here and now it's just gone. They really don't give us a reason to care about anyone or anything. They introduce the characters by using these collectible cards, but all they really say is Chitara is fast and Panthro is strong. And then for Tigra, they just describe his weapon, which they describe as a rope with balls on it. Really? That's the best you got? And it really does come off as disrespectful to the original. Their planet was destroyed, everyone died, and now their species is on the verge of extinction. But they're gonna take all of that drama and make fun of it, including making fun of genocide, to an audience that has never seen the original, so they wouldn't be aware of all the references and inside jokes they're making. For example, there's a joke where Lion-O keeps saying thunder and the Sword of Omens keeps getting bigger and bigger until it's huge, but this joke is only funny if you know how the Sword of Omens works. They never explained that the sword can go from a dagger to a full-length sword if he does that, so while this would be funny as a parody, without the context it just looks like the sword got bigger for no reason. And this was one of the better jokes. If they're going to make a parody, they should probably do it with the same audience, not a totally new one. Even if this series wasn't a reboot of an existing IP, it still wouldn't work. The jokes that don't rely on the audience being familiar with the source material are still really repetitive and boring. There's a scene where Lion-O is running around asking everything on Third Earth if they know where the mutants are. 3 times is about all you need for a joke like this, but instead they do it like 8 times. times. Why does an 11-minute episode need padding? We get it, he's looking for the mutants. Can we move on now? Even the trailer is repetitive, where the announcer keeps wanting to see Lion-O smack into a tree over and over again. He does it like 4 times. They really don't seem to understand what the rule of 3 is, and it wasn't even funny in the first place. A lot of the jokes are also very predictable and expected, like someone will say something and then they immediately cut to something that contradicts what was just said. Like Panthro will say he hopes Lion-O is being discreet, and then it cuts to Lion-O being loud, obnoxious, and not at all discreet. There was also the Burbles who kept saying Mum-Ra's name over and over again even though they knew it would result in them getting struck by lightning, and it really felt like they just wanted to pad that runtime. But at least that one had a story purpose. When Mum-Ra attacks the Thundercats, he uses their lair as a lawn chair and he says it's very comfortable while he taunts them. The Burbles built it so they're very flattered and they hug Mum-Ra while they say his name repeatedly, so he ends up getting struck by lightning. So at least that joke had a setup and a payoff, even if it went on for way too long. Most of the jokes are just there for LOL so random, or padding. This whole thing is so disappointing. The purpose of a reboot is because the name is already recognizable, there's existing fans, and there are people who might have heard of it but haven't had the chance to get into it. So reboots are a great way to bring in a new audience and give existing fans something new to get excited about. But instead we get Thundercats Roar, a big studio like Cartoon Network putting out an ugly, poorly animated product. They're trying to lampoon the original Thundercats, but to a new audience that is not familiar with the original show. So it ends up being very disrespectful to the original show and fans. The original was animated by the same studio that did The Last Unicorn, and a lot of those animators went on to work for Studio Ghibli, and the reboot looks like this? I would expect more from a professional studio, and children should not have to settle for this. Not to mention how much animation technology has changed since the original Thundercats. But those were our opinions. What do you guys think? I know we were blunt, but all the red flags we were worried about in the video we made back in 2018 about Thundercats Roar ended up happening, which is really frustrating. I can't believe we lost 2011 Thundercats to Lego Chima, and now we get this. Thanks, Cartoon Network. Thanks for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like and subscribe to our channel to see more content like this. But we'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone. Bye, guys.